Okay, today is September 10th, 2019 at 9 o'clock. We will call the Floyd County Board of Supervisors regular meeting to order. First item on our agenda is to approve our agenda.
I'll move to approve.
And I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve our agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 2 is public comment. Everybody looks like they're here for a reason. Item 3, review action regarding approval of August 27th, 2019 meeting minutes.
Lengthy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I had a chance to review them though, and I'm good with them, so I'll make a motion to approve August 27th meeting minutes.
And I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the meeting minutes of August 27th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 4, review action regarding approval of claims.
And I looked them over and had no concerns or issues, so I'll make a motion to approve.
And I will second that.
Okay, been moved and seconded to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 5, review action regarding consideration of bids for bid package number 2 for the Law Enforcement Center / Courthouse Updates Project. Bill, who wants to start?
I will.
So, yes, both Bill
Yeah.
Huey from Prohaska is here,
Okay.
and Sid Samuels from Samuels.
Thank you.
I'm handing out a spreadsheet, kind of the tabulation of who the low bidders are. So what we got is, we had bid each of the bid categories, so we had rejected the first bid package for earthwork. We had actually taken that and put it into bid category number 6. So you see bid category number, the bid, and then the contractor, that's the apparent low right now. So if you look for concrete 3A, you'll see that Wix Construction is the apparent low bidder at this time at $840,000. 3B is MPC. Dean Schneider is the general trade contractor. Midwest Roofing, Sweeper Metals, Schindler Elevator for the elevator, Cottonelle Sprinklers right now. And then we have two combined bids that were actually lower than individuals. So the Young Plumbing and Heating combined, they combined both the plumbing and the heating to come in about $500,000 lower than the other bidder. And then Sweeper Metals, so they had divisions 11 and 28. They came in with a combined bid package which was roughly $110,000 cheaper than the individual bid packages. So what I've done is I put some summary together down at the bottom. So our total packages right now altogether are $14,426,000. We've got general requirements, which is a budget. That's the cost of winter heat, trailer, dumpsters, things like that that we would manage through the process. So it is a budget. So if there's any savings there, that of course we don't use that, but we have to include that. We have our CM fees, which we froze at the referendum construction number, so we did not increase those. And then the contingency is also froze at 5% based off the original referendum dollars. So we've got $596 left in contingency. I've seen that contingency go up and I've seen that contingency go down, but considering where we're at with the extent of renovation here, I wouldn't go below the 5%. I think that would be ill-advised, and we'd be back here at a future date potentially asking for additional dollars, and I'd prefer not to have to do that. Total construction costs then with all of that stuff included, so it would be $16,417,563. When you take a look at your original referendum breakdown, you had, I can't recall, but I think it was 11,200,000, and then I threw the contingency in there, comes up to $11,800,000 to give you a comparison. So right now we have a variance of 4.6 over the budget from the referendum. So what we've done since last Thursday is we've reached out to all of the contractors and went through each and every one of their bid categories and asked them to start taking a look at value engineering. But more importantly, what I'm hearing is a couple of major areas. We're going to ask what the cost of the courthouse renovation is and break the jail out from the courthouse so that we understand the extent of work that's actually happening inside that courthouse. Because when I talk to the major contractors that would be involved in the courthouse, their immediate response was the amount of work that needs to be done here. And originally, the extent of work that was coming into the courthouse was supposed to be fairly minimal. And so I want to get my hands around that and determine what that means. And there's a couple strategies for that. One is we're going to look at the value engineering for the jail, but we're also going to look at the courthouse, and we may want to break them apart so that we can continue to move forward with the jail and get that going, because if you recall, we weren't going to do the courthouse until a later date. So that would give us adequate time to look at a redesign within the existing courthouse, which I think we're going to have to do, okay? When I look at the jail, the one area that popped out for us was the bid category 3B so far. And what we're finding there is that price is almost double what we typically see. And so we're going to look at an exterior skin change potentially. So what we've asked the precast company to do is basically on that wall that goes all the way around the jail. We're asking them for some value engineering opportunities, but we're also talking with the general trade contractor who has the mason. And
Are they just MPC just supplying the precast, or are they actually setting?
they have to set it as well.
Okay, that's not part of it.
So it's a labor material set. But I think what's happening, in addition to that, they also indicated that they couldn't get panels here until March. Well, that doesn't meet the original bid intent. So I think we need to look at that exterior skin, not only for a cost situation, but also from a timing. They're both related. So my recommendation would be is let's explore this a little bit more and make sure that we feel comfortable with what we've got there. I've talked with, I think, just about all of them. I have not talked to Continental yet. I talked with Dean Schneider. They were going to start taking a look at their breakdowns, and then we can compare our breakdowns. I actually got the breakdown from the precast, and it's almost exactly breakdown of what we have for quantity. So I'm guessing they're just looking at the details, looking at some of the nuances to what's being required, and then looking at the bid market. Areas that I felt good with, if you want me to go out on the limb on that baby, is Pulse Electrical. I thought the electrical came in at budget or slightly below. Young Plumbing and Heating is higher than our budget, but I think that when we look at the extent of work that's actually taking place in here, I think that there's some hidden costs that we don't know about yet that we will dig out. So I'm feeling better. I've worked with them before. They're a good contractor. The detention side of things, when you take a look at what combined bid, they're fairly close to budget. So I've asked them to look at some value engineering also, number of cameras, pick on your cameras, storage capacity, things like that, and the security electronics. Because when I look at their original detention bid, all the detention doors, the hard stuff, they were $190 away from budget. So that tells me we've got a pretty good number on the detention. So I'm just having them look at the security. We're not proposing any changes there, but I think we look at every bid category and say what can we do to help look at this overall number. Roofing was good. Like I said, we talked with Dean Schneider, MTC, and then we have not reached out to Wix either because they're fairly, I think they're within 60 or 80 grand of budget. So my recommendation from a construction manager dealing with these kinds of situations previous is give us a couple of weeks. We've reached out to the guys. I would table the approval of anything or the rejection of anything. You do have 30 days to reject bids, so let's use that 30 days and see what we can do about bringing the number down. I think we need to come to some realization, because I've never pulled this amount of value engineering out of a project after a bid. I mean, realistically, if you get 10% up, pat yourself on the back, because that's a lot of work to get 10% out of it without going into a major redesign. So my strategy is let's let it dig, let's find out what's going on. Let's find out what the cost of the courthouse is versus the cost of the jail. See if there's things that we can do within the jail to save some dollars, and then potentially move forward with jail and look at a potential redesign on the courthouse, but that'll be after we determine what the true numbers are. Once we have that information, then we can start making some educated decisions. So what I would like to do, or what I would propose, is give me a couple of weeks to come back. That gives me time to work with the contractors, and it also gives me some time to vet it out through Prohaska to make sure that we're not proposing something that's detrimental to the design. Because when we ask them for ideas, they give us everything. And some of that stuff makes sense and some of it doesn't. So we use our architectural team to vet some of that out before we bring it to the table and say, here's some ideas that we think could save some dollars. What we would do at that point is, if we can get it to a point where you feel comfortable from a board, what we would propose is that we would provide the contracts, you would approve the contracts as they are today, and then we would have deductive change orders that would go with them, and that would reduce their scope of work. If we can't get people to cooperate, then you're looking at rebids. And you do have the opportunity to rebid each and every one of these categories. So for example, if we were talking to Young Plumbing and we didn't feel as though we were being treated fairly, we weren't getting enough credits, or we just didn't feel comfortable with that number, we do have the opportunity to accept any and all, so we could accept the rest of the bids and reject that particular bid category if we chose to, all right? So we have a lot of work in front of us, and I think 2 weeks we're gonna need all of 2 weeks to get that done. But we've got 30 days, let's use the 30 days, and my goal would be is to keep this thing moving through the winter, because everybody's got commitments to the project and figure a way to get through it.
Right, I agree. In conversation that I've had with Sid and both Bill, I think it's valuable for us to get that information. I really want to see what they even break out, as much as how much is the courthouse, versus the new addition. Bill, I don't know whether you have any other.
Just following up on, excuse me, on Sid's comments, we did back check to at least the precast contractor, because that was a big architectural feature on the project. And there were some things there that they suggested that already where we might be able to realize some savings. What stood out to us when we opened the bids were the alternates for those canopies. And I think after speaking with MPC, there may need to be some further clarification on how exactly some of these items would be constructed, because we saw it one way, they saw it another way, I think, and that's not the way we wanted to go. So,
I haven't included any alternates at this time, I just simply looked at the base bids.
yeah,
Because if you recall, the alternates, I think all but one were add alternates. The fifth alternate was a deduct for moving out of the courthouse. So we'll explore that as we go, but right now, I'm not looking at add alternates, I'm simply looking at base and figuring out what we do with the base bid.
but I think that Sid's plan for going forward is the best way at this point in time to proceed, because everybody's got all this time invested to date, and to be hit with this bid, this overage, it kind of knocks the air out of you, but I think that we can get this down. Again, I'm not saying that we can take all of it out, that's not a realistic thought, but I think that we can at least put a pretty good dent in it.
Well, what we don't want to do is lose momentum. A
Right.
delay is going to cost us too, so
If you,
we just
so
got to
let's
be.
kind of talk about how we approach through the schedule. So, and one of the reasons why we looked at jail versus courthouse, and do we separate them, do we not? If we wait for another construction season, we're going to see an inflation of at least 4%, right?
Mhm.
So if we're at 14 today, and we say we pull a couple of $1 million out, we're still going to be faced with 4% escalated, which is going to be almost another $500,000. So we really do have motivation to figure our way through it today and minimize that impact.
As long as our bids aren't being affected by our timing, you know. I mean, if it was a case where we said, we need to get things done right now, and the bid goes up because of that,
Right.
if we go back and say, oh, well, we could stretch that out, maybe our bid comes back down. So those are the things that we have to determine too.
I think the only thing I heard in relation to timing is that the plumbing and HVAC were wishing that they could have done the courthouse first, which is not a realistic opportunity because you occupy it from the jail side. But what he said was,
Yes.
from a manpower perspective, there is a lull this winter that they're seeing in the months of January through March on their trade. And he said, you know, that would create some urgency to want to do that. The reality is that that's not feasible with our current situation. So it was a great
Great
advice,
idea.
a great idea.
They were looking for
Yeah.
inside
They were
work
looking
in the
in the
winter
winter.
time.
Absolutely. So he did say that, you know, some of the incentive for wanting to be getting that labor done isn't going to happen now until next year, and so.
And then some of the other clarifications, and we talk about going back and discussing with these companies about other potentials or where our dollars could go, deductions, things like that. And then you talk about us coming back and accepting a bid. Do we get those numbers hard and fast before we accept the bids?
Yeah, I would recommend that you have.
I mean,
everything
because like, I look at the first one, 840,000, we're gonna take 840,000, whatever we figured out to change, we're gonna change.
Right.
We're gonna accept 840 with these deductions.
Right.
Okay, good.
Right.
Yeah, we wouldn't ask you to. do
That made sense,
If you
but I
don't-
just,
If you don't know what the deduction is, you may as well just approve what you got right now.
that's right.
Yeah.
Or you approve it and then down the road they say, well, we really aren't gonna do that.
Well, as we come back forward with some value engineering opportunities, you're going to have to make determination if those are things that you really want.
Yeah.
Right, so you're juggling what your original scope was versus what your costs are. And I think we're just fighting through some of the, I keep going back to the existing courthouse because it's easy to pick on.
Mhm.
But when I look at the new jail and I look at the courthouse, the new jail is fairly simplistic.
Right.
So we don't have a bunch of fancy finishes in the jail. It's fairly bare bones, right? Especially if you don't take the add alternates, you have bare concrete floors.
Right.
So it isn't like we have a lot of stuff in there that I can go in and say, let's take the porcelain tile out.
Right.
That isn't in there.
No,
So
it's not.
when you look at what I can do with the jail, there's not a lot in there that I can pick on. In doing so, then I have to reevaluate what's going on with the rest of the building. And I don't think you're spending a lot of money in here, but I think that when we saw the HVAC drawings come in 2 weeks before the bid was going out, I'd actually highlighted the drawings to determine where all the ductwork was going through the existing courthouse
Mhm.
and realized how intrusive it was.
And we
And-
did share that with both of you. I know you had. a
I
chance
came
to
in and
look it
looked
over
through it,
before,
yes, I
yeah.
agree.
So.
So
yeah.
when
And you were probably on the phone with Mike.
Yes, I
Yes,
was.
yeah.
So when that's a good example of what we're dealing with and looking at what you may have scoped in the original referendum versus what you're scoping today at bid. I think there is a difference, and I want to get that figured out, bring it in here. You may choose to continue to move forward with it, that's fine, but my job is to bring you that information so that you can make that decision. Any other questions?
You know, my expertise is outside, and I've seen some things I'll talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
We could do some different things out there. I think that'd be a great plan.
Mhm.
So I'll go ahead and make the motion then that we table any decisions on these bids for 2 weeks, which will bring us to what?
23rd, 24th.
24th, I'm sorry.
September 24th.
We'll do it at 9 o'clock again then.
Yeah,
I'm
sounds
reading
good,
to
9 o'clock.
9.
All right.
It just ends up on the agenda, so it's not a specific time. I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to table the consideration of bids for bid package 2 for the law enforcement center to September 24th. At a regular meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries.
And just so I understand, we talked 30 days from what time frame do we have?
Or then from the 5th. So
From the
When
September
the
5th,
bids
okay.
came out.
Okay.
And I think if we're getting, for some reason, we're getting close to that, I'm sure that we can talk to the bidders and ask them to hold it. I think right now, our goal is we need to have a decision made well within the 30 days, because we have pending winter coming, right?
Right.
So depending on what we do, I think we need to move it along.
Well, I guess my reason for the question was, we're gonna meet on the 24th and have some more discussion, but a final decision wouldn't have to be done on the 24th
No,
if we had a meeting the next week or something.
I would suggest you kind of sleep on it, right?
Right.
Because we may come in with some crazy stuff and you go, you're kidding, right? But I think that after you've had an opportunity to reevaluate it, there may be things that you're very much opposed to, and there may be things that you're acceptable to, and I think we need to have those discussions. If you each have questions, feel free to call me anytime to discuss them, or if you've got ideas or whatever it may be. I would say let's vet it out at this point. But yeah, I would bring the recommendations of what we think you could do, and then give it a week, and then decide to take some action on it.
Okay.
And again, we've always said that, we can always have a special meeting if
Right.
we need to, so,
Right.
again, just
Well,
to
like
keep
I
this
said,
going.
Every single contractor in the world, their world changes every day. You know, if they get another job, they might not be so willing to work. If they don't get another job, they might be really glad to work. So,
Well,
you never know.
we had one plumber that was awarded a project that said that I apologize, we were bidding the job, but we had to withdraw. The panel guy said, I can't guarantee a delivery date, this is where I'm at, and I need a letter of intent or
Yeah.
something. And I'm like, well, you'll get it once we've made a determination on what we want to do.
Right.
All right.
Again, if you have any other questions or comments or got ideas that keep you up at nighttime, give me a call. I'd be more than happy to put them out for you and give you my opinions.
Well, thank you both for
Good.
coming, appreciate it.
Good.
Thanks for the update.
Thanks.
Good luck, Wanda.
Thanks. I hate to go Marshall Phillips.
Drive all the way home, huh?
So we'll move on to item 7 now, which is review action regarding the resolution.
Item 6.
Excuse me, no, you're fine.
Right.
I'm sorry. I just know we have Rod in the room.
Good morning.
Item 6, which is review action regarding accepting petitions for a ballot issue to change the organization of Floyd County Memorial Hospital from Iowa Code Chapter 37 to Iowa Code Chapter 347. And Rod is here to,
Well, thank you. Very pleased to bring forward 578 signatures and just.
which is the percentage of the number that voted in the last election?
Well above.
Well above,
Okay.
you went well above.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that's where that,
Just wanted to know
the
that.
required numbers come.
Yeah, 318 is the required number.
Yes.
We brought in 578, and I think we would continue to keep rolling with signatures, but wanted to get that in a timely manner. If I can I distribute just a nice little infographic I'll leave with you too, that we'll continue to use publicly as we carry our story forward in our narrative of why this is important for the medical center and allowing the citizens to vote on November 5th on it. So don't have much else to add. We've got the, I shared with Gloria, the letter from the, our board with unanimous support in bringing it forward also. So,
Is that in your packet?
Right. You've been out marketing well this information. And you've been attending a lot of meetings, and I've even tried to mention people, call Rod, have him come.
Please do. Yeah, I've got 3 more groups this week, so
Yeah.
we'll need to
Okay.
travel the county, so.
Yes.
Good.
Welcome to what we ended up having to do.
Right.
But yeah, so.
And we have a really good community task force of 16 members that are also assisting on this too. And their feedback and involvement's been very helpful on this too, so.
So the only question I get, when you do that, do you elect board members then? Rather than us appointing?
With the change, there'll be 2 changes. One would be the election of board members, and my understanding is the supervisors can decide if we go from 5 members to 7 members. And so we would, also part of that, my understanding is we would transition as our current members come up for, their terms end, those would be the members then that would be elected, and you eventually get to the 100% elected group. And then the second and most important part is the ability to levy the taxes.
Okay, we just came to a town in Minnesota over the weekend, and there was elect so-and-so to the hospital board that was signed up.
Oh,
They will have to run for the position
Yeah.
as well.
yeah.
That's one of the changes that came up, as papers would be doing in March this year instead of August to run for that position.
And Iowa has such a rich history of county hospitals, so when you say Minnesota, there's not too many county hospitals left in Minnesota.
They're different up there.
Many of them have closed or become part of large systems. Certainly county hospitals can be part of systems in Iowa too, but as we know, there's 44 county hospitals and 42 of those are levying taxes and have for decades, so. And in addition to that, lots of good work going on in the medical centers. You know, the hiring of Dr. Michelle Ime she'll start next fall. We have another physician interviewing at the end of this month, Saturday and Sunday, the 28th and 29th. Dr. Molly Olson and her husband Tim will be in town for 2 days. They've already interviewed at 4 other Iowa hospitals, so we're gonna put our best foot forward on that and continue to do good work at the medical center, so appreciate it.
So what kind of, just curious, questions are you getting when you're out and having your discussions?
It's actually going very well. I can jokingly say that the only people that are not signing when I ask have already signed it or live outside of the county. And I'm only aware of 1 no so far from the committee as far as when they solicited and asked others, so. The committee started with a goal of 400 signatures because we knew we needed 318, so you want a little bit of buffer. Pretty soon we hit 400. I'm writing a document planning on 500 and thinking that's going to be a stretch. And last week I was pushing for, let's get to 600. We almost did it, so ran out of time.
Ran out of time,
Yeah.
okay.
It's all right.
Good.
All right.
So,
So I'll go ahead
I'm gonna
and,
just make a comment. I did come up with 2 signatures less, and I think it may have been from some pages that had like one scratched off and one whited out.
we can live with that.
way above, I know what was required.
Thanks, Lori, for going through. I think there were 79 pages there, so.
She got me the other day and she started going through them right away.
Yeah, so we need a motion to accept.
The petitions, exactly. So I'll move to accept the petitions for ballot on the issue to change the organization of the Floyd County Memorial Hospital from Iowa Code Chapter 37 to Iowa Code Chapter 347.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the petition for a ballot issue to change the organization of the Floyd County Memorial Hospital. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. Oh, we moved to item 7.
Thank you very
Seven
much.
is good now.
Okay.
Review and action regarding resolution number 32-19, setting the date of the election for the Floyd County Memorial Hospital proposition to change its organization established under Iowa Code Chapter 37 to Chapter 347.
And what was in our packet, there was just one typo. I've already talked to Gloria about it, so you've made the update for the one to be signed. So with that, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve resolution 32-19. setting the date, again, this would be for Tuesday, November 5th, 2019.
And I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 32-19, setting the date for the election of the Floyd County Memorial Hospital proposition to November 6th.
Fifth.
That,
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 8, update on law enforcement center / courthouse project.
I know we always have this line item on here. The only update, since we've already talked about the bids, I am in communication again with Sean Bausch so that we have a plan to relocate employees over to 500 North Grand. I'm not prepared yet to present it. I'm still working through some things, but that would be coming up here soon now. I think he's been extremely busy because he's been really tough to get a hold of, but we finally, Mike Fisher and I both are working it because he's still trying to finalize his lease agreement with Sean also. So Mike and I have been kind of working together on this. Is there anything else from my perspective?
Doug, last week Doug signed the Mid-American Gas
Yeah.
plans. I intended to get a hold of Mid-American Energy for electric to see when they were gonna start, but I haven't heard anything, and I'm not sure what's happening with CenturyLink. I would have thought they would have started by now also, but
They're on their own timeline. Otherwise, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Item 9, updates on various boards, commissions, and activities since August 12th.
Long time. I gotta go way back.
You want me to
You wanna
start?
start?
I can
Go
do
ahead.
that. I can do that. I attended, I had an EMS meeting with Steve Deers and Rod wasn't there, a representative from the hospital was there, and AMR representative, and we are now working with Mark trying to come up with some numbers to come back to the,
do you mean ambulance commission when you say EMS meeting?
well, it was an ambulance commission,
Okay,
yes,
all right.
yes. Well, it was that ambulance commission ad hoc committee, so it wasn't an actual ambulance
Okay.
commission meeting, okay? And we'll come back with some numbers to the ambulance commission, then it'll end up coming back to us if it affects us dollar-wise, which I'm sure it will. I attended the ISAC meeting in Des Moines, and I was just writing down a few things. I forwarded information to you, both of you, about the ATV presentation that was given. We had a presentation on budget. There was a real good speaker, actually. Gloria was at, I think 3 of them. I was at 2, some speakers on accountability and how to keep employees doing what they're supposed to do, and it was good. I turned in another one on Forest Reserve. There were some other ones in there. The last one that I tried to attend, or I did attend, was supposed to be on juvenile mental health, and they forgot the juvenile part of it when they did the presentation, as far as we're concerned. They gave a presentation on mental health and where it sits in Iowa, and they did not touch it all on the juvenile part. So that was disappointing, but overall it was a good conference and well worth going. Let's see. Looking down through the rest of mine. Had a CSS, we do quadrants. We have, our CSS district is separated into 4 quadrants. We're in the north section, and had a meeting in Mason City that was, it's more informational than anything for me, because it allows the suppliers and the providers, I guess, to really put information in. And Stuart's actually the chair of that. And then I did have a conservation board meeting. They've got an open house tour on October 5th, that they go out and tour the different facilities that they have, and they're doing a section, I think they're doing the west this year. And it's an open meeting and everybody's welcome to come. I'm gonna try to make it to that this year. I haven't been to that in the past. And I just finished a CSS phone meeting just before our meeting this morning. And we didn't come to a conclusion. We ended up moving it to our regular meeting on the 25th. So that was it.
Right, mine were, let's see, I attended the business after hours for the TLC moving into North Grand. I thought that was interesting to see what their plans are there. Attended a focus meeting. I've attended the airport board meeting. Veterans meeting. The chamber meeting. Most of my other ones are tied to projects, so hold on just a second here. I went to the Central Iowa Juvenile Detention Center meeting. Honestly, do they get heated at times?
They can. Is it budget time?
No, but
No.
what mostly I think everybody is not happy with is ISAC's support or not, non-support, for them. And it was really interesting because there was 2 representatives there, supervisors, that are actually on the ISAC board. So they're new to the makeup of the board, and so it was interesting. So their takeaway is they're gonna go see what they can do.
It was
You know,
sometimes
it
frustrating,
was
you wind
interesting.
up with a 2-3 hour meeting, but some of the side conversations in there, it's educational.
It's amazing.
And there's such a variety.
I attend, the Upper Cedar Watershed Management Improvement Authority meeting, did have a good discussion that night. I brought up our issues with Hawken Finance and concerns that we've got. So there was some action that is going to be taken. The next quarterly meeting, which is not until the first week in December, but they're bringing a company representative on an initiative down in Des Moines. It's Ecosystems is what it's called, where they're trying to come up with ways to create energy out of methane and just some things that things that are happening within the state, that we may not be aware of too. And again, I've had further conversations. Well, it was interesting to get everybody else around the table even that night that is representing many of the other counties in this area for the Watershed Improvement Authority, and they're all just shaking their heads. Yeah, we all recognize the issue. And like I said, it ends up being the elephant in the room. Everybody knows it, but not one person's trying to say, let's do something about it. So, but anyway, we're gonna continue. I'm gonna make sure that discussion continues to be had. And let's see. I think that's it.
He actually was last night at an ICOG meeting, got awarded a grant and got 19 buses, maybe, which sounds big, but there's 98 buses, and they're way behind on replacement, but anyway, they'll take whatever they get. We did hear that the accident claim was finally settled for the bus over in the red exit. Other than that, there wasn't a lot. The landfill, I've been back and forth there about 3 times. The board got mad and bought a new cat dozer up there because the one that we have just isn't working, 300 and some thousand. I think the fire claim has all now been settled. We got a new compactor up there, which was $775,000. And I'll take the credit for it. I made him. Put the fire suppression system on it. We just lost an $800,000 thing, and you don't want to spend $18,000 to put a fire suppression, so we did. But anyway, that's all been done, and we're also putting in a auxiliary generator up there. So I've been back and forth with Sean Novak Electric, they're starting to do that work up there. And it was the simplest thing, you know, they wanted to trench across the road, but we had to get DNR permit because it goes across a landfill. So that was 8 days to get their permission, but anyway. And I was at the Lancer Avenue meeting out there with them, and also had a 1-hour conversation with Waylon about these setups out there, and it's pretty volatile subject no matter where you go. So, those are mine.
And department.
Yep, department head, that's right.
I want to add one more thing. Isaac, I had the budgeting portion, but there is a budgeting meeting coming up in October.
I signed up.
You signed up for it?
I
Good,
am.
good.
I'm going down. In fact, they
Good.
wanted me to be on the panel. And I said, no, I'd rather just sit and learn more.
For the
learn
ISAC?
a little bit more
It's
first.
through Isaac, yes, it's a 1-day on budgeting, and I assume it'll just be an expansion of what, we got a very condensed version.
They've
now.
got the agenda out. I looked at it this morning, so
Okay.
there's other things on it.
Okay.
But I think it'll be I'm looking forward to going, seeing what they have to say.
Good.
Are you going to that too, Gloria? Good. Good. Thank you.
So, item 10, review the county engineer's annual report.
Morning.
Good morning.
This has to be submitted by September 15th to the DOT. That's your copy. Basically, it just goes through all of the year-end expenditures for FY19, which ended June 30th of this year. And I'll just kind of go page by page. So obviously the cover sheet, page 2 shows all of the expenditures for all the different categories, which is the way I submit my DOT budget too. Talks about anything from administrative engineering, construction projects, bridges, roads, snow, new equipment, tools, blah, blah, blah. It's all kind of all there. It kind of shows you the total expenditures for the full fiscal year. At the very bottom of page 2 is obligated and unobligated numbers. And what that is actually is if we have contracts that have been let but aren't expended yet, that's just obligated. That, like Contract Rock would be a good example of that, or a bridge project, we let that we know they're under contract. So the obligated number shows that we have this for next year's budget as far as contracts are left.
What's the date on this?
This would have been through June 30th, we just finished it up the last couple of days.
But it's only through June 30th.
Right, correct, and that's just for full expenditures for the fiscal year FY19. And then page 3 would be all of the revenues that come in, from property taxes to local option to the road use tax. Time 21 numbers, farm market extension numbers, which are coming from the small towns under 500. Shows our
Actually, that's
reimbursement.
interesting, if you look at local option sales tax, we get almost half as much off of that as we do off of rural basic.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and when I budget, I typically budget around 500, 550 or something like that, so when that's higher, conservative numbers when I budget, and that's nice when that's a little higher. Shows in there bridge replacement funds on line 5, also shows miscellaneous receipts of 316, and that's gonna be showing all the numbers down in the bottom. And it shows the FEMA relief that we received through June 30th, which was just under 300,000, that was reimbursed back. So total funds to account for is the 10,702,000, and that's starting with a carry or start balance of whatever is in my account for secondary roads. After that, again, you guys can quote. Those are the nuts and bolts of the expenditures and revenues. The next few pages talk about the different categories.
What time period would that of FEMA have come from?
That was the big one last year. Yeah, that was the big one last year.
2 years ago, almost 2 years ago.
Last summer, not this summer, but last summer.
Right.
That was the big one that we got
The
hit
18
pretty hard. Yeah, we had about five
Yeah.
events last year, it seemed like, and we didn't even credit for the one.
So page 4 goes into the split down of administration and engineering, which is basically between myself and my 2 assistants in the office. Nothing crazy there, I guess. Page, and my ops manager and secretary too, the administration. The engineering part is the 2 assistants, the administration is the ops manager and secretary, along with myself. Page 5 goes into construction projects themselves, which is any day labor projects we have, or contract let projects. The contract ones obviously is going to be 170 Street Bridge. And then it's just kind of, that's in a nutshell, just the construction projects. Any questions there? If not, I'll go on to page 6. Goes into bridges and culverts, basically, and roads. Basically, any of the bridge repair work that we do in-house, any of the crossroad pipes, driveway pipes, roads. Roads is going to be your contract, or rock resurfacing, contract rock, blading the roads, ditch cleaning. Shows all those expenditures. Page 7 goes into snow operations, snow and ice control. We've been through the bad winter, so we had kind of a rough one for a couple months there. Traffic control was all the signing. Road clearing would be all the brushing, spraying, the mowing that goes on in the county.
I did bring up for the wage side of it, does it go to each category for what they're trying to spend on the
Yes.
bridges or that's it's included in is it like included in
Each one, like there's 461 laborers. Yeah, I mean that's split out according to each one of the laborers are all in each of these categories. So when they're doing signing, that's where that gets categorized. 5,001 or 461 or.
I'm curious.
Yep. Page 8 goes into equipment purchases and equipment operations, which would be repairs, all the stuff at the shop. Tools, materials, supplies is one of the smaller ones that basically is needed for the equipment in the shop. And then real estate is if we're going to work on any buildings. Kind of minimal on those categories this last year.
I guess the buildings are in pretty good shape then?
We actually just did 2 of the buildings we had called because we need to paint them because they're in town. And so we went and we
Is that
actually put new
Springs?
siding
Is it?
and new roof. We tinned everything.
Okay,
Brand new, we just did that actually.
okay.
And that would have been after this June 30th date. They're run down, they're old shops, they're little shops. Nothing on page 9. Page 10 shows the locally funded project, which in this case is going to be 170 Street Bridge, page 10-1. Basically, it was 93% complete at that time, prior to us finishing that project. 10-2 would be the box cover that was up by Caldwell 2. That would have been the one that we let before winter, or we got it completed right before winter last year. So that one was the one that we let and placed that double cell box. 10-3 was another small box culvert work on 200 Street. Those are the day labor projects, that more or less. 11-1 shows all of our equipment that we list, purchase price of everything as we kind of go through it.
Where you at with your new truck?
3 new trucks, yeah, I'll talk about it in a second, I just messaged him last week. So 11-2 touch more equipment, that just shows our inventory. Which on here at the time, I'm assuming that Isabel Crane is there, but it's probably gone, it's not gonna be on there anymore.
So you don't
The one that you
depreciate them
sold.
out?
We just sold it, yeah.
No, just sold it.
No, you put the
Just sold
initial
the
price and
purchase-
then
purchase
down the road,
price.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of. Page 12 talks about, there's basically nothing there, but if we were to have, say, some funds, and a good example of it would have been the window TIF years ago. If we would have paid for a project out of like that money that Glory would maintain the pier, then we would show that, but we didn't have any of that last year. Sheet 13 is the local effort, basically just showing here's what the valuations were, here's the levies, here's the secondary, what I get per se. Shows the total receipts property taxes, shows the local option portion, and then show total receipts that come in locally here. Then in section 2, it talks about here's what it maximum, and then they have to do 75% minimums, and we meet that by 13.64% above. So that's good, because if you guys as board members were to give me less and not meet, see, local option goes towards that local effort too, which is good. If that wasn't there and you guys gave me less than that, blah, 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 then they would come back and say they would reduce my road use tax to me if we don't make that local option, or make that local effort. Statement of final cost, which is House File 324, has been in effect for quite a while. Basically, just talking about the total cost of the projects. That first one is the one on Victory at the twin cell box. Next one is the other small drainage box. And I believe that is it. Pretty cut and dry, nothing crazy in this year's one. It just puts everything in the categories that we have submitted to and by the DOT by the 15th, which is 5 days from now. So, but I think I actually submitted it already last Friday. So, if there's any questions, if you do, you can come talk to me about some of the things, but it just puts it in the categories.
So that's for review only, so we
Yeah,
can approve.
right.
Okay.
It used to be where the auditor used to have to sign it back in the day, and then they stopped doing that. Now I just sign it and just review it with, I still review it with you guys, so you have it.
Sure.
Item 11, discussion with the county engineer regarding secondary roads activities.
Well, let's see where we're at, project-wise. 170th is just wrapping up paperwork to close that project out. That's basically been done. 195th, they're hopefully finished driving pile today, hopefully. Continue with that, get the substructure done, and start getting ready to deck so we can get that deck poured and all that stuff. Probably, I would guess by the end of October, or towards the end of October, that deck pour will happen.
I stopped out there talking to Dwayne the other day and I told him, he says, you know that 170th Street, I stopped there the other day, it's almost dry.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
How long that thing took to get there.
Well, and then I
Oh,
remember
man.
last year at this time, you were like, I think it's gonna get done,
Oh,
and
man.
so
Yeah.
I know you're shooting for October.
Yeah, let's hope that stays the way it is. It's not like the little cedar over where we're working on underneath there, so that's good. Mowing gravels, I know we've been out there still blading, still on spot rock at spots where some of the black dirt areas still kind of hanging where if it didn't get contract rock. So we're gonna continue with that.
Yesterday I saw a spot of black dirt, I mean the remnants of a frost boil still in that road.
Yeah. So we're gonna continue to haul spot rock till it freezes at some point, but that's a little ways off yet. Oh boy, what else? I know we're mowing the hard surface roads, so that's good. We did a whole round on the, side roads already. I'm assuming at some point we'll try to hit one more side road mow before the winter. Check plans for the T38 and the S70 project. Those are the bridge project and the paving project for next year. Those submittals are going through to get the final paperwork into them for that. And then I'll probably start working on budget. I hate saying it already, but it's no time like the present to start doing that, because if you look at the annual report, you'll see that what my carryover balance was quite up there, but that is gonna go towards, we had a lot of calls in that T26, which we talked about last time.
Right.
I think it's gonna be where we were trying to squeeze in that 400,000 for that Rockford thing, but the road's not crazy bad. I'm gonna replace the bridge on that west end over by Saragota County line, so my thinking was, next budget year, I think what I'm gonna do is one of those maintenance asphalt things that would probably be for T26.
Okay.
And then that way, what I'll probably do is, I have to see what the numbers are, because our estimate for the 3.25 miles, 3.5 miles was 500,000.
Yeah.
This is gonna be, if you go through the city of Rudd and all the way to the county line, start at the Avenue of the Saints, it's probably gonna run over $1 million. So my thinking was, let's do that one. Unless you guys have any ideas too, you can come talk to me and throw out some ideas, but because of that north mile, basically, it's kind of, and in the town too, so, and then split off some of the other ones, but
I went and checked it.
that north is bad.
Yeah.
But I think budget-wise, I think that's where that local money is gonna go to, something like that, and that's why that's good to have that little carryover. I wish I had that much carryover in Chickasaw, but I don't.
That was asphalt.
Yeah, we're looking at HMA, yeah, so. And the only other thing was, like I emailed you guys, was we did receive the national,
That is
for our
amazing.
T26 project north of Marble Rock that happened a couple years ago. Last year, we won the Iowa
Yeah.
award. We did submit that project to for the national award, and we ended up winning it for a county project.
How many were you competing against?
Well, I know there's 19, there's all the winners, and there's 2 county road categories, and we got one, and another one in Colorado won the other one for county. But there's so many different categories, and the letter that he just wrote me was, so I'll be traveling to New Orleans.
That's what I'm wondering, where you going? Okay. I knew you'd
I
be
got
traveling
a
somewhere.
free complimentary registration, so it doesn't cost me anything for the conference.
We have a board
It's
meeting.
December 5th.
That might be better.
This year, 27 projects will be honored from 15 different categories after competing locally and nationally with hundreds of excellent projects. So it doesn't really tell me.
Yeah.
It does say in there that during the banquet, we'll reveal the award level, whether it's the gold or silver of winning projects, so. But that's good. I know Cedar Valley, Tom Bonner is gonna be going there, I know that, so. Unless I plan a nice, actually, it would probably
When
be a
is
good
it?
family vacation. I just go.
Yeah.
Wouldn't cost the county anything, and I just go to the banquet, because I get a free registration for the banquet too, so.
When is this?
December 5th is, well, the banquet itself, well, the whole thing is 3rd through the 5th.
That's your deer.
That might be deer hunting
You
time
can't go.
though. Because I think it's deer hunting's a week later this year, because the 1st is on Sunday. So it's not the 5th, will be right before, but then it's a week before my conference in the
What a
morning too.
dedicated deer hunter.
I bet it's not.
I'm
But-
saying we are gonna see you in December.
We might not see it in December,
Right.
but I think this is very good.
That's
It's just,
very good.
the whole process, it was a pain in the butt during that whole time, trying to work with the landlords to get them in and out of there and all this.
Right.
We redid that whole road,
And it
so
just amazes me that.
it's nice that we were able to get it.
Yeah.
We'll get a plaque, it'll be basically put it up on the wall, so. But just figured I would point that out.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Nice job.
Very good.
Other than that, I don't really have much else here.
All
Item
right.
12.
Motion to adjourn.
And I'll second.
We're adjourned.